What's going on, guys? My name is Gregandcin, and I've got a confession to make. You know, I'm a poor college kid. Have to pay those loans. Instead, I bought a game. I bought PLAYERUNKNOWN'S BATTLEGROUNDS, and I know what you're thinking. I'm a poor college kid. If I'm gonna buy a game, I might as well buy one that's good, and cheap. But this one was $30. Not only that, it's an early access. Since I've bought this game, I've played it, I have to ask myself this question. Was it worth the launch? So, what is PLAYERUNKNOWN'S BATTLEGROUNDS? What is PUBG, the game that has taken the gaming community by storm, especially Steam's player charts? Oh my god. It has broken almost every single record on there, except for maybe monthly unique players at this point. It is probably in the top 10 or 5 most played games right now. That's including I'm including things like League and all those other things that just aren't on Steam, and we can't see the player numbers accurately. It's insane. If you don't know what it is a battle royale style game. Think of the Hunger Games. You have a whole bunch of people in one area. They have to go out and find weapons, kill each other. Pretty simple rules. And this isn't the first game of its kind. We've had DayZ, which was kind of like that. We have H1Z1's King of the Kill, I think it is. And Arma 3's, it was either Arma 2 or Arma 3, the Battle Royale mod, which is actually really important, so we'll get to that later. So, the games are comprised of up to 100 people, either in solos, teams of 2, or teams of up to 4. And you jump in on a plane, you fly across in a almost straight path across a random point on the island, you drop, and you're free to try and kill whoever you want. Grab weapons, gear, armor, all that sort of stuff, and you try and fight your way through and hopefully not die in the middle of picking up a gun. And I think it's these simple rules and just everything else that has made the game really popular right now, and it's probably what has gotten a lot of my friends into it, because the games can last either forever if you last really long, or they can be really short and you can jump to another game if you die because some dude grabbed a SKS before you even were able to get into a building because somehow he dropped faster. And you know what, I'm just gonna stop there. I've had too many bad experiences with this game, but I've also had a lot of good ones. So of course, as I said, the games can last any sort of range, and it's always fun, I think. And that's, of course, a very subjective term, but there's always an intense thing happening in the game. I don't think there's ever a dull moment in this game. You're constantly having to move around or watch out for somebody that can just come out of nowhere in a vehicle or snipe you from the top of the hill or something. People can be in buildings, they can be out in the open, and you never know where somebody else might be at one given point in time unless you hear them and see them first. And along with all this, you have to take into account all the small little mechanics that are in the game. Of course, you have the armor system, which is pretty self-explanatory. You get shot with a piece of armor on, that armor degrades, or it can only accept a certain amount of damage up to a certain gun, like some powerful sniper rifle or something. You can only carry so much unless you have bigger pieces of clothing like a jacket or a backpack on. And you have to worry about all the ammo you have, along with bandages, grenades, and everything else that has to go with that. There's a lot of stuff in the game that isn't really part of the rule set, but it molds itself into a very specific type of experience because there's not any real rules to the game. So you kill people, there's this huge circle that's around you that you always have to try and be in at all times, because if you don't, there's going to be gas that's going to kill you. It just comes in, it's all timed, and if you've played any other battle style game, this might seem kind of familiar. And with all these weird mechanics in mind, the game can be quite grueling for some people, because you either feel like you've been killed unfairly or you picked a bad place to spawn. Because you can be on the north side of this huge ass island and the circle can be on the other side of the map. Now that doesn't always happen, that's not really a common occurrence, but it can happen, and it can make the experience feel kind of cheap sometimes for how you died. The game does try and mitigate some of these situations with the unlimited sprint that it has, which is probably one of the most unrealistic things that this game has. And even though there are some weird quirkiness if you're looking for some realistic sim stuff like you might have if you were, of course, into a game like Arma. Now, this is PLAYERUNKNOWN'S BATTLEGROUNDS, and PLAYERUNKNOWN himself, Brendan Green, is the creator of the game. He works with the South Korean company Bluehole to develop it, make a whole bunch of changes, and of course listen to community feedback because this is an early access game. His previous experience is through the Arma 3 Battle Royale mod, and I believe H1Z1, but don't quote me on that. That one's just kind of like off the top of my head from what I've heard. I'll edit something right here if I'm wrong, but this is not the man's first foray into this type of game, so it feels more polished than all the other games on the market with all the mechanics that are happening. The guns themselves can feel really satisfying, except for like the crossbow. The crossbow's trash. If you ever decide to pick up a crossbow in the game, you're either doing it because you're really desperate or because you just give no fucks. I mean, just look at it.
Of games that I've played where it felt like there was nothing but crossbows, I couldn't find anything but crossbows. How many?
So then we have to take a look into all the gunplay, because that's one of the biggest things about this game besides all the looting that you have to do with inventory management, trying to make sure you have enough room to carry things. The guns are really important. So there are a couple of different pistols that use different types of ammo. There's like a Glock, like a P92, a 1911. There's a revolver. Those are the ones I remember right now. I think that might be all. There's a couple different assault rifles, like 2 or 3 different SMGs, maybe 4, some sniper rifles, and only things that'll drop in these loot packages, like these drops, these crates that'll just randomly appear like every minute or so inside the game. There are other items in there, such as like ghillie suits or something like that, full-on med kits, adrenaline, needles, things that'll make you run super fast. But other than that, there's most of the stuff you can get in the game will randomly spawn throughout the world. Now, some of these guns will have different types of attachments that they can use, such as like an underrail attachment, a barrel attachment, stock, sights, all that kind of stuff. But the most important attachment that I think is really kind of weird is, of course, the sights. Specifically the more long-range ones, like the 4X and the 8X. Now, I don't know about the 8X and how that one's tuned, but the 4X is specifically sighted in for 5.56 weapons in the game, such as the M416 and the M16A4. I don't know about any of the other 5.56 weapons or any other weapons in the game, but those are the only ones that scope will accurately work for. Any other weapon, you will have a horrible time if you are reliant on the actual reticle inside the scope. Using something like a SKS or Car 98, which uses 7.62 ammo that has different physics properties because of bullet drop and speed and all that bullshit, it will affect how you try and shoot things differently, because with those weapons at that point it effectively just becomes something that you can see farther away with, because it's just magnification. Nothing on that scope will let you accurately hit a target at any range unless you're like super skilled and have trained yourself with that scope. But other than that, the attachments are almost pretty straightforward. They affect recoil a little bit differently, how much muzzle flash you'll see outside. If it's a suppressor, it'll muffle the sound a little bit, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty simple. You got your quick draw mags, your extended mags, quick draw extended, you know, stuff that you might have seen in other games. If you're someone who's experienced like bullet drop or any other things in the Battlefield series, you might feel a little bit more accustomed to the gunplay in the game. But I think Arma people and other Battle Royale people will have a better time with this game, at least adjusting to all the weird mechanics that are in it. And let me tell you, there's some pretty weird shit in it, like the pan. The pan is a god tier thing. My little friend group, we like to call it level 4 armor, because unlike the helmet or the vest, that pan will literally save your ass. It will bounce shots off that hit it. And that thing, when you're not like swinging it around, is on your hip. So like it'll save your ass. So with all these weird mechanics, how does it really make for fun gameplay? I mean, there's not really any other game where you can get so screwed over yet love the experience at the same time. Let's say it's the third circle that's enclosed in. So you might be in a building and somebody's going to be running up on you. They try to come in the building. They know it's probably been looted, or at least somebody's been in there before. You're sitting in a corner and you don't know what they have, so you have to sit in there, wait for them to come in, and you just have 2 guys with M4s just rolling at each other. Or maybe he has a shotgun and he just runs up on your face and you miss all your shots with your mini Uzi. Fucking sucks. But I mean, I've put like 50 hours into this game already, and I've only had it for maybe a week or 2, maybe 3 at most. But I've not had this game for a long time, but I've put so much time into it. And that's saying something, because I've had Counter-Strike for, I want to say, like almost 2 years now, maybe a little bit more. and I've only put 216 hours into it. Now, whether or not that's due to the game lengths themselves, about how long they can be, or other things, I'm not really positive. I think, though, that this is a really compelling game for a lot of people, especially if you're into having a whole bunch of friends and doing stupid shit on a huge-ass map, like riding motorcycles up hills and doing backflips because you decided to go 80 miles per hour when you obviously should have not done that, and there's people in the house you were about to go to, so you might get blown up. I mean, there's just a lot of shit you can do in this game, even though you really should be only doing one thing, and that's surviving. This game allows for so much stupidity to happen. There's a lot of stupid stuff you can do in this game. What kind of Skyrim bullshit is this? Where's my fucking horse that defies gravity? And I think that's also why we've seen it blow up on Twitch and, of course, in the gaming community in general, because people can have fun, whether it is going all try hard into it or just having a bunch of friends and seeing what kind of stupid stuff you can do. Part of the reason you can also do all these stupid things is because in the lobby area before a game loads, if you have global chat turned on, people will talk and say some really fucked up shit. Like, I don't know if you guys have interacted on the internet before, but there's some really horrible people out there.
I tried to make a swastika once. Don't tell anybody. Shit, this got demonetized. Fuck.
I haven't even really touched on the map itself. The map's huge. You would obviously expect that from something where you have 100 people in a server, but it's a really big map. There's a lot of different areas. You got a whole bunch of hilly areas. You got some like really tight cities. You got like farm areas. There's a place that's like just been really flooded. All the houses, you can't really go into the first level without just wading through water. You can get on boat and like go through all the water that's on the outside of the map. I mean, there's just a lot of variety to how encounters can actually happen. And while some of the houses might feel a little bit like copy paste, it kind of works out. It also helps that the first person mode got put into the game, and while it did kind of fragment the community a little bit, I think the difference in playstyle between third and first person is really impactful, because in third person you can see around corners, you can look 360 degrees without really moving or changing your body, while in first person you are of course confined to this peripheral view and actually having to turn your head and losing sight of things around you. It kind of changes the pace of the game a little bit, but I've actually seen first-person games go faster in some cases than third-person, which kind of blows my mind. Now, I have played most of this game with other people. I have played a couple times solo, but this is really a good group experience. If you are a solo player, I think you will find fun in this because there's a lot of just trying to get better at the game, and it's really hard to get better at a game where the game can royally fuck you over based on where you decide to spawn or where like it decides to just like make the plane go. There's a lot of bullshit that can just happen in this game, but I think that's really part of the experience. While the bullshit can feel a little downing at times and sometimes you'll just want to rage quit, I think you will want to come back for more. There is a lot of times where you can feel really good about this game. Now, this is an early access. I'm not gonna fault that right now for any of the bugs, but there are some bugs that do need to be addressed. And last but not least, if you are somebody who cares about microtransactions in games, as in you really want to stay away from them like the plague, now before, I want to say like as soon as I got in, I think it was about a week or two before, was when the game added like actual microtransactions into the game where you did have to buy a key for a case, a la Team Fortress 2 or CSGO, but they're kind of gone now. By the time this is out, you won't be able to get that crate anymore, but along with that, you do have the free crates, which you can open without a key, and then you get the items, and there's a Steam Marketplace. And if you are really for a Steam Marketplace type of system when it comes to cosmetics, good for you. I like that system myself, but if you're really against just microtransactions in general, you can have a fun time. It's just that making the character your own, you're going to have to delve a lot into the in-game currency. Character customization in this game is kind of reliant on the microtransaction system, or the crate system at the least, so if you're not a big fan of that, stay away. If you don't care about character customization, just keep playing the game. But some of the things like gloves, coats, hats, mask, they do affect some of your carry weight in the game, so keep that in mind. You of course can pick up these items inside the game, but again, everything that spawns in the game is pretty random, such as like all the cars and vehicles, weapons, gear, etc. So with that out of the way, was it worth the launch for me? Yes, I played this game a lot. I played almost every single day. I've put, again, 50 hours into it in a alright period of time. I wouldn't say a short period. I did have a lot of free time on my hands, so maybe if I was in like the middle of like school when I first got this, my playtime would be a little bit shorter. If any of this kind of appealed to you, I would definitely recommend watching like some of the stuff that I've put out on live streams, other people's live streams, YouTube videos. Just take a look at all that, see if the game looks fun for yourself. Maybe see if you can get a friend who has it to like Steam share it with you through like the family share thing. If you want a more competitive experience, like a more esport thing, yeah, don't go to this game. There's a lot of bullshit. I know CS:GO and Call of Duty can have some bullshit sometimes, but this has a lot more bullshit than those games. I would not say this is a esports kind of game. And if you are a casual gamer, it just kind of depends on what kind of games you like to play in general, because I really feel like that with the length that some games can get to, it doesn't feel that casual at all. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Have you played this game? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Do you think my opinions are wrong? Tell me down there. Criticize anything I have to say in this video. Well, if you're new here, please hit that face right there. If you want to see more content like this, check out one of the videos on the sides. One of them is going to be one I recommend, another one's going to be one YouTube recommends. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. You know, all that other bullshit. Check out the links down below. And of course, I am gregandcin, and this has been Worth the Launch.